Tonight, Duda plays a bomb cloud.
What? Wait. What is going on? Is he playing a bomb cloud?
Danny Wrench desperately tries to get Levy laid.
Actor.
All right,
Okay.
let's
Yeah.
vote.
Yeah. What type of acting?
Comedy.
Comedy.
Okay.
Yep.
Really?
Not really, but
I was like, magician?
okay, that's the third magician we've got. So thank you. This is great. It's the shirt.
Yeah, I
It's
think
the shirt, right?
It's got to be the shirt.
Okay.
And the world's nerdiest party takes place in Toronto.
Like serious. Like people can talk and chill and like.
Yeah. No, this is more serious than the U.S. Championship game.
Yeah, Jen, exactly, Jen.
Put it through.
You got it.
No.
I can't even move pieces. That's
Yeah.
weird.
Okay.
Wait, I gotta move.
All of those clips you just saw were recorded during the Chess.com Global Championship Finals in Toronto a few weeks ago. I hope you enjoyed them. They definitely made me laugh. The Chess.com coverage of the event was probably the best coverage of any chess event ever, and hopefully there'll be more to come. The commentary team, the broadcasting setup, the studio, the prize money involved, the quality of the players, and the coverage online, and the amount that I saw it online in random places was quite incredible. And hopefully this is just signs of what's to come in chess in the future. So I thought I'd just give you a quick rundown of what happened in the finals, and maybe a little bit of a background as well, because I actually played myself in the Chess.com Global Championships in the qualifiers back in May or June now, I think it was. Unfortunately, I didn't qualify. I played in I think three of the qualifiers, and I actually came eighth in one of them, in one of the 4 a.m. events that I thought would give me a better chance of getting through. So I didn't quite finish in the top four to qualify for the play-in phase, but nearly, and hopefully in future editions that might well happen. After the play-in phase, there was which is where the Masters joined, I think, and then after that we had the big names really joined, and then there was a knockout tournament of 64 of the biggest names in chess, really. Unfortunately, none of the amateur players from chess.com made it through. And yeah, eventually it led to the finals of the chess.com Global Championships, which took place in Toronto, even though I think three of the players were actually in Belgrade because of some visa issues. But anyway, it still looked like a fantastic event with fantastic commentary team and professionals there to assist. And yeah, so this is what happened. So in the quarterfinals, Anish Giri defeated Temur Rajabov in Armageddon Blitz playoff. Nihal Sarin squeezed past Sam Sevian. Hikaru um, got an easy win against Jan Krzysztof Duda, including in that bomb cloud game that you saw in the opening. And Wesley So got past Dmitry Andreikin. In the semi-finals, there were some really close games, and Nihal Sarin squeezed past Anish Giri. It was actually quite a tragic game in the Armageddon where Anish had a draw and therefore a win in Armageddon pretty much sewn up with black, but he made one mistake in the end game and that was it, and Nihal got through to the final. And Wesley So defeated Hikaru Nakamura, which is a bit of a shock after his Fischer random win just a week or two prior to that. But Wesley's in great form over the last couple of years and could well claim to be in the top three in the world right now. So the final was Nihal Sarin versus Wesley So. I didn't predict that in my bracket predictor, unfortunately, but I'm not sure if many people would have done, to be honest. So expect Nihal to make it to the final. So anyway, I thought we'd just have a quick look at one of what I thought was the best game from the final between these two players. So I've chosen to have a look at game 3 from the Chess.com Global Championships final between Wesley So and Nihal Sarin. This was a really good game that I was actually watching live on the Chess.com website with the commentary team of Levi Rosman and Daniel Naroditsky. And I hope you enjoy this game as much as I did. So it starts with e4 from Wesley, and we have a modern defense from Nihal Sarin. Bit of an unusual choice, but I guess Sarin was losing at this point 1.5 to half, so he thought he needed to try something different. d4, bishop g7, knight c3, d6, which is pretty standard stuff in the modern defense. It's actually called a standard line. I didn't even know that. But we have bishop e3 and a6, just to stop anything going to b5. Queen d2 and knight d7. Looks a little bit passive, but probably setting up like a c5 or an e5 move for black soon. And Wesley plays h4, which is quite a common idea in modern chess in many openings, just to move that h-pawn forward and potentially send it off in a one-man mission into the enemy territory. We have h6, just to prevent any ideas of putting the bishop on g5 or maybe to g4 later on. Wesley castles queenside, so we know exactly what his plan is in this game. He's going to push everything on the king side. And in response to that, Nihal is going to go all out on the queen side with b5. f3, setting up g4 potentially soon, or maybe even giving some room for the queen to slide over to g2 or h2 later on. Nihal develops the bishop on that long diagonal. Wesley attempts to stop b4 from happening straight away. And Wesley slides the king over to b1. Always a useful move when you castle queenside, often just to kind of guard that a file a bit more and maybe move out of the potential pin if there's a queen or a rook on the c file like we have at the moment. And Nihal starts this proper attack on the queen side now at c5, and Wesley decides to just snap that straight off and develops his knight. And then Nihal makes a slightly unusual looking move. He moves the knight back to d7 where it just came from. And the reason for that is because he wants to play knight f6. He wants to develop that knight, as you'd expect, and castle on the king's side. But at the moment, he can't really do that, because if he does play knight f6, e5 comes, and it can't be taken, because if it was, then material would be lost for Nihal. So he can't do that right now. That's why he moves knight back to d7, setting up knight f6. But it's a waste of a move letting that happen. Hence why the evaluation is 0.8 to Wesley right now. Knight d5, natural move, moving that knight into opposition territory. Now we have knight f6, and swap them off. As at this point, so evaluation is pretty much equal, maybe slightly better for Wesley. And then Wesley, despite being ahead in this match and not needing to do anything too adventurous, he decides to play the most adventurous move he could probably find in this position, which is h5. Which on the surface just looks like a pawn sacrifice, which it is, with knight takes h5, and you'd expect maybe g4 to come now to just drive that knight away, or maybe try and double the rooks on the h file, something like that. But no, Wesley takes that knight. He just snaps it straight off the board, gives up an exchange and a pawn, just to start some sort of attack on the king side. And obviously Nihal accepts that with knight g3, and Wesley gets one pawn back. He's still an exchange down, but the black king does look a little bit exposed right now, and Nihal's not going to be castling because the rooks have moved already. But if it gets to the end game with the material as it is, then I'm sure Nihal will be very happy to be an exchange up. So Wesley needs to do something. So we have g4. Here comes the attack. Queen c7. Nihal tries to start his own sort of attack on the c file there, preventing Wesley's queen from moving too far away. Otherwise the c2 pawn is going to fall. So we have c3 to stop anything like that. Bishop d4. Centralize the bishop. Try and get the black bishop off the board potentially, but it allows e5. It looks like a bit of a mistake really, because now white just has to move that bishop all the way back to f2, and it feels like maybe a waste of a move just to set up the one weakness on d6, but probably a mistake from Wesley there. And then we have d5. So now there is no weakness on d6, and Nihal is taking over the center. Bishop h4, attack the rook, and queen h6. So now we're seeing what Wesley wanted to do. So he's got another pawn back, and this queen is finally getting into black's position. Along with this knight and the bishop, the f6 square could be key quite soon, putting one of those pieces there. Nihal, we have the swap of pawns and the swap of rooks, and the swap of minor pieces. So pieces just flying off the board. And in this position, so Wesley's actually lost. He's lost more material. He's down an exchange and a pawn. Stockfish is minus 2.3 to Nihal. And time-wise, Wesley's on 2 minutes 25. Nihal has over 4.5 minutes left. And it's quite amazing to see that the caliber of Wesley So to play such a calm move in this position, being under the cosh so much, to play King C1, which is the best move. It seemed natural to try and play some attacking sort of move, like potentially maybe C4 or G5, but King C1 just clamp down on that queen, just stop Black's queen from coming either to here or to D1. And then Nihal plays Queen C7, which is a bit of an error because you would, in this position, it seems like Nihal could have just played E4, just could start some sort of attack of his own. But he decides to go on the defensive, just decides to guard the E5 pawn, and this just allows Wesley a bit more time to do something. He plays A4, hoping to double Black's pawns and get the light squared bishop into the game. Nihal doesn't do that. Bishop C6, and Wesley goes to attack the E5 pawn with the bishop, and Nihal drives Wesley's queen away, and check, and King E7. But after all this, evaluation is now back to equal because Nihal has he's still got the material advantage, but now White's queen is in a good position. The king doesn't look too safe now on E7, especially with two bishops flying around the board. King safety is not great right now. With Bishop D3 probably driving the rook away, but Nihal just plays F2, and we can see Nihal's time is now down to 19 seconds. So there was a lot of thought there going on, and it hasn't really worked out because now he's got hardly any time, and the position is pretty much equal again. Bishop H4, exposing that king, and the king comes even further forward to D6, and now Wesley goes and grabs that F2 pawn. Rook E6, probably trying to play rook E8 soon to drive Wesley's queen out of there. We have queen F8 and queen E7 from Nihal. Queen B8, queen C7, and now we have a threatening of repetition of moves. Considering that Wesley's 1.5 to half up in this game, he's perfectly happy to take a draw, and Nihal has, as we can see, 4 seconds left on the clock, so surely Nihal is just going to take a draw, go into the next game 2-1 up and still 5 games left. It makes perfect sense. Nope, he's not going to do that. He plays rook E7 with 4 seconds on the clock, and now the eval bar has gone to +3 to Wesley. We have bishop F5. Nihal grabs the pawn, so keeping more material ahead. Queen H6. Just to go back there, sorry. Instead of bishop F5, which wasn't the best move, the reason why Wesley was +3 in that position was he was meant to play B4, and then whatever Black plays, bishop C5, winning this rook. Or just generally just clamping down on the position of the Black king. But Wesley didn't see that. Queen H6 check, King D5, and yeah, so Nihal is making a few mistakes now, which is to be expected because he's got less than 5 seconds on the clock for every move. He shouldn't be going forward. He should be just putting the rook in the way or playing, just give the exchange back really, or just sort of taking the draw a couple of seconds ago. King D5, and now it's a forced mate. And Wesley, of course, sees it. Queen D2, King C4, Queen D3, and King can only move to B3, I believe. C4, King B4, and Queen C3 checkmate. And Wesley So has now 2.5 to half ahead in the CGC Finals against Nihal Sarin. And Wesley did go on to complete a 4.5 to 1.5 point victory against Nihal with 2 games remaining. So it was a bit of a destruction, actually. It was an easy win for Wesley in the end. But as you can see from this game, it was very topsy-turvy. Could have went either way, but Wesley showed his class and experience in the end. Thank you so much for watching today's video on the CGC Finals. If you liked today's video, then please give us a like, or even better, give us a subscribe to our Global Chess channel. Let me know if you have any feedback about the video or the Top Gear style intro that I used today. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.